Welcome to the After the Show Movie Podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Ascully and Cidtalk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Welcome, Cidtalk. Welcome to this rainy, drizzly, dreary day.
I don't know if it's dreary. It's a little rainy and drizzly, yeah. It's cold, it's winter.
It is.
Here's my advice. Get over it.
Yeah.
Or move away. And also, I think I just heard your stomach growl. That is not the before the after discussion, your stomach growling.
I'm probably
Nor
hungry.
the weather, because it's really fucking boring. But I get what you're saying. Before the after the show was pretty much nothing.
You've already made us into an R-rated podcast.
Wow, that's fair.
Didn't take you long.
I'm a grown-up. I can handle it. If people can't, then they can listen to other things.
True.
This is my position on that.
So before the after the show discussion was nothing.
Nothing, really.
Apart from this movie a little bit.
You made tea.
I did.
He's British, so he makes tea.
I do. That's all I do. I make tea. More tea, Vicar.
A whole other thing.
All right. It is Saturday, December the 14th. This is After the Show, your weekly movie review podcast. And on episode 869, we're looking at the new movie, Heretic. It's a 2024 release, out now on streaming, rated R. Its runtime is 1 hour and 51 minutes, and it's from our friends at A24, who sent us a copy for review. Cidtalk, can you give me the synopsis of this movie, and then I'll give you the real synopsis?
Short of it is, two young ladies go to a man's house to sell him some religion, and he has a lesson for them.
And I'll give you the one off the box. Two young religious women are drawn into a game of cat and mouse in the house of a strange man.
Like I said.
All right.
Did you not hear my synopsis?
It was very similar. You could get
I was
a job
right on it.
with A24 writing synopsises. Heretic, the latest film from two directors, Scott Beck and Brian Woods. What did you think?
I loved it.
You loved it?
The end. The end. You know that I loved it. If anyone listens on a regular basis, or if you don't, or if you listen but you try to deny it, I am not of any religion or philosophy. Some people try to name how I am or how I think about the world, and that's fine. I'm not a label person, but this movie to me is particularly interesting because I appreciate religion and people and love people who are very religious. Very, very. And also the other end of the spectrum, people who, like me, are just like living their lives and get on with it. And there's no demand that you change because I don't agree with you and I don't expect to be manipulated.
Yeah.
So this movie is particularly interesting because he goes into, if we're going to start talking about the movie.
Let's just explain you heard the synopsis, but what actually is happening is it's two Mormon women, and when they go to people's houses to preach the Book of Mormon.
I do.
They turn up at this guy's house.
I know. I watched it.
I'm explaining to the audience. And then are invited in by, he could be a nice man, he could be a bad, we don't know what he is.
Yeah, it's very dangerous.
They go in his house and hilarity ensues? No?
No. I'm saying no, not hilarious.
Stuff ensues. But yeah, that's the setup. They go to his house to teach the Book of Mormon or to preach. Yeah, so they go there and he knows a lot about religion and he's not your typical punter, as I would say. So the person that they normally go to somebody's house is a lot different to this guy.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of people who try to undo their religion for them, This guy just happens to also be a psychopath. Let's just put that out there. Spoiler alert, he's not a good guy.
This guy's all kinds of things.
He's all kinds of things.
He's scholarly.
He justifies his behaviors by attaching this idea that he has invented or created or discovered the ultimate real religion. And I won't tell you what it is, but that's kind of his excuse for his terrible behavior.
Yeah.
You are supposed to zoom out and say, well, in the name of many, many religions and many, many people's interpretations of those religions, people also do horrible things and try to justify it because of their beliefs. And so he's not really that different from a lot of other people in history, but it's magnified, because he's the only one we've got in this movie. So
you might not think he's sinister.
Oh, I thought he was sinister as F right off the bat.
Because he's very nice.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And
you are not a good judge of character, my friend.
Well, I knew that he
I benefit from this because you've stayed married to me 25 years, but
I knew that he couldn't be not sinister because what would the movie be otherwise? Right?
Yeah.
So you've got that programmed in. But as far as these girls know, he's okay. And they're just there to do the thing.
I feel I want to be the escort for some of these young ladies or young men who go to these houses. You're all vulnerable, aren't you?
They did have a checks and balances going on.
How much?
With the church. The guy had like a schedule of them all, and he realized that they weren't back yet.
Yeah, but that's not enough.
No.
You need someone standing in the doorway with the door open and you holding the door open while the two people go in and discuss the religion so that there's always an escape hatch.
Or it's like, we never come to your house to discuss religion. We discuss it with you in a Starbucks or wherever.
Right.
Neutral zone.
I don't mind the still idea of people going, don't come to my house. Don't get me wrong. But if someone's willing for that to happen, I still feel like there needs to be more safety involved. But, I'm not in charge of these religions.
So on the deeper end of this is him questioning them, him mostly questioning them or trying to, he's like, you think you've got your thing figured out. So what if I present to you a number of scenarios?
Correct.
That might change your mind on something and
but see, you fell for it. That's not what he's doing.
No, he's not. I've not got to that part. He's doing a game, basically a game.
Yeah, and it's just a trap so that he can add to his collection, which I won't spoil.
Right.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And he is fascinated in and of himself, about himself, his own views, his own thing. I'm not the most altruistic person in the world. I don't have super empathy and compassion for the whole of humanity. I'm not the giving type of person, but I do think of others. And I think near the end of the movie, she comments to him about prayer, that it's just nice when you're not just thinking about yourself. And I feel like that part of that was pointed at him. He's become so obsessed with his own ideas that he's gone down this black hole of whatever it is.
Almost literally.
Yes, actually, literally, yes. Black, grubby, gross hole.
Yeah.
I think that was an interesting thing too, is that this person is so obsessed with his own self.
Yeah.
That he's not looking at, like, you can be a good person and not have a religion. I know. It's shocking. I mean, it's going to twist your melon, man.
And he's also got this cheeky way about him of...
But he's not a good person and he doesn't have a religion.
No, he has this cheeky way of, I know everything and you know nothing, and I'm going to explain to you what everything is eventually. I'm going to get to the point.
And he represents every person that you meet, whether they are a Christian, a Muslim, Jewish person, whatever their religion is, that are hardcore atheist as well. Or the person he's trying to portray is the cynic, picking apart everything, right? That personality type is relentless. And they come from every group, not just the guy who's trying to talk you down from your religion. You encounter these people and they try to sell you their religion as well. There's always an answer for everything. They know exactly, they've got the trap built for you already in their mind. For like everything you say, they've got an answer to put you down in your little place, and that's his role. He just happens to be the heretic.
Yeah. The poster, the tagline on the poster is question everything.
Absolutely.
And you do need to question everything in life and in this movie.
In life, absolutely.
He gives this speech in the middle of the movie, which I thought was awesome, where he lays Monopoly boards on the...
Mm-hmm.
He's basically comparing religion to other things like music. Board games is one of the things he's comparing it to.
He's not really comparing religion to them. He's talking about the
different books.
Well, he's talking about the monetization, so to speak, or the capitalizing on an idea that someone else came up with, right?
Also, this one is like this one, but changed a little bit, and this one's changed
iterations, as he likes it. Yes. I think he's just giving you an illustration that religion is an idea, and everything is an idea that someone else has taken and kind of twisted their own little way and then taken credit for it, blah, blah, blah. So I love that because I've actually heard that argument from people before in real life. Not comparing it to, but saying like, you do understand that religion and belief is an idea. An idea is the same as every other idea, like any socioeconomic or political or ideological or philosophical idea, or I like this tree better than that tree, and someone else comes along to try to convince you something different. It's just an idea, right? And then someone can package it up and sell it to the world like, this is the best tree ever, and here's why you need it, and here's why it's the best. And then you spread it and you make it bigger and bigger, which in the beginning of the movie, our two young ladies are discussing prophylactic advertisements, even though there are a couple of young Mormon ladies, and how she's saying, I bet the big ones aren't that much bigger. It's just a marketing ploy. They're just trying to brainwash you.
Yeah.
And the idea is sold to you that if you buy the bigger condom, there's something better about you, right? And so that's what he's saying. Everything is packageable, commodity. You can sell it. Absolutely. And by selling the idea to someone, you have control over them.
It's a pretty clever script.
It is. And I mean, again, in real life, I have heard these arguments actually most of my life from different individuals I've met who have intrigued me greatly and opened my brain to the ideas of not committing to ideas. So I loved it. I thought it was like conversing with some of my old friends.
I don't actually want to spoil this movie because it's that kind of movie where it's fun to work it out as you go along. Good to know.
Okay.
And guess what? You won't work it out as you go along. I don't think you will. I don't think you'll know what is going to happen to these girls.
And I didn't. So I'm one of those people that just kind of...
Like, we watched this M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong movie recently, Trap. And I was, you kind of have an idea that, this is what this is. And with that one, unfortunately, I figured it out. It wasn't. With this one, I was like, this is like an older M. Night Shyamalan movies where you can't figure it out. It's like, The Sixth Sense, where you sat watching it.
Are you trying though? Because I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that at all. I didn't feel that.
No, I wasn't trying. But what I was saying is, it's got that kind of feeling to it. And once you've seen it, I feel like it wouldn't be as good the second time because a lot gets unraveled at the end, let's say. And once you know all that stuff and then you watch it again, it might not have the same impact. So it is one of those, don't go in knowing about it. That's why I don't want to speak about the ending of it.
I guess I didn't see it. There's no twist or anything to me.
It's not a twist as such, but knowing where it goes makes you think about the beginning differently, I think.
Absolutely. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I would rather you go into this movie, that whole beginning scene where he's speaking to them just in his living room, and it's just a conversation. That is the most riveting conversation, I think, of the movie. Because it's riveting. You don't know, like, what's he up to? What does he want? Like, in my mind, he just wants to murder them. He's just a murderer. Like, I don't know what he is, even though the movie's called Heretic. I'm thinking it's just a slasher movie. He's going to murder some people, right? I didn't think it was like a game of, an actual game kind of thing.
Right. And I don't know that it is a game, ultimately, when you really, really think about
He's
it.
He's devised a little
right, but thing. To a specific end, which is also just,
Yeah, so that's why I don't want to talk about the end, even though, it's kind of clear that there's some psychotic elements. If you saw the trailer to this movie and you saw Hugh Grant deliver his little speech, which he does in the trailer, where the candle's on the table, let me say.
Okay, got it.
That's in the trailer, so
okay.
I think you would go, oh yeah, psychotic. even though you don't associate Hugh Grant as psychotic.
Well, he's a performer, so you shouldn't.
In his performing life, he generally doesn't play anybody who's psychotic. He plays what does he play?
Bland.
Hapless, kind of. No, not hapless so
and
much.
an Oompa Loompa.
He does play an Oompa Loompa. I always forget about that one. But yeah.
I don't. That's the first thing I think of now.
Been in a lot of romantic comedies, let's say. So yeah, Heretic. Let's get on to the cast. Hugh Grant plays Mr. Reed. It'll make you think differently about Hugh Grant.
It did me for sure.
I think he really delivered. His performance is exceptional. There's so much to it.
Is that because we underestimate him?
I think we're just used to seeing him in bland kind of... I mean, I love him in Love Actually.
You do?
But it's just it's a comedy, right? It's
unadorned with too much deepness.
He's being a guy. Yeah. Other movies of the sort, which I think of him in, he is generally just a guy. In this movie, he's a guy, but there's many facets to him. There's a lot of subtle stuff that he does. That weird, thing he does with his face. It's kind of like, I've got one over on you. You know what I mean? When he does that several times in the movie, where he kind of he's actually got the expression on the IMDB page, where he's like, he looks at you, and he's like, yeah, I got one over. I'm superior to you.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then there's moments where when somebody catches him out, or he's like, I didn't expect that from you. I thought you were an idiot.
Absolutely.
He gets really turned on by it.
And again, that is very specific to the type of people who will try to completely and utterly tear down what you think you know. Yeah. And that goes for everyone. That goes for the person who is, chin deep in their religion or chin deep in their philosophy. That's the personality type. And he brings it to you. Yeah.
So yeah, I loved his performance. I thought he was fantastic. I like to see him in more varied roles. Doesn't have to even be horror, just different things. Because I think he's really got what you need.
He's got the chops. Is that what you're saying? He'd be honored.
Not saying that.
I'm not saying it.
Sophie Thatcher plays Sister Barnes. We've seen Sophie Thatcher in Yellow Jackets, actually. That's where we was first introduced to her. What do you think?
She's awesome. They're both awesome. Both of these young women are awesome. Yes.
Well, we've got Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East.
Yes.
The trivia about them both is they both actually brought up in a Mormon background. So
it's fascinating.
Yeah, so they drew upon it to create these characters. I was just reading the whole thing about it on Variety. Sister Paxton, who is the more naive of the two, but maybe not.
Yep.
But appears to be. But she's questioning stuff. So you like those two?
I like both of them. Seriously, there are times when I forget, what I love about some movies and performances is I forget that they're performing, right? Because we've seen a lot of movies, tens of thousands of movies probably combined in our lifetime. You get acclimated to the idea that this person is pretending. And then you see the pretense and you see some of the method, or, you know what I mean? You just see through it. You see that this real person is pretending to be this person. In this, I was lost in all of these people being precisely who they were presenting on the screen. And I love that. And that's a credit to all of them.
Yeah. Directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. Now, these two are writers primarily. And you know the movie 65? They wrote that. Remember that?
I do.
And
no
also,
comment.
Yeah, 65.
Such a good idea.
But not a great movie. And A Quiet Place they co-wrote with Krasinski guy. So that's a different kettle of fish. That's a good movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, everybody can't have all.
Well, they're not. These two are mostly writers, so this is their first directing thing. Well, actually, no. They've directed some things that I do not know, right? So what do you think of the directing? I mean, two directors, I always think that must be hard.
Not really. I mean, you're just coworkers.
Who's in charge, like, moment to moment? Do you take turns, or?
I don't think it works like that. I think that you if you're already a partnership, then you both bring your own separate thing to whatever the moment is. And if they work well together, then it's a matter of looking at each other and shrugging your shoulders, and the other one saying yes or doing the thing. I feel like we'd have to see them in action, but ultimately, it's paced very nicely. The shots are good. It's got did they write it as well, did you say?
Yes, they did.
Okay. I take it 1 point off for the sort of uninspired thing that the guy's actually doing. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. That I was like, oh, it's all so good. And then there's that. So directing, writing, we're going to say they get one knock for that.
There's also one shot in the movie. You know which one I mean. They only use it once, and they could have way overdone this shot. But it's the shot that goes from the real world to the model on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you know that whole movie could have consisted of shots using that. But they did it once.
And it was really good.
And it was so effective. You were like, oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I'm glad they kept... Well, maybe it's really expensive to do that shot. But it was a great shot. And I'll remember that shot. I was like, oh, it kind of messed with my mind a little bit. It's mind-bending.
You twisted my melon, man.
So, IMDB reviews, what are those?
Those are reviews of movies that you find on the internetmoviedatabase.com where they say, this movie was so bad. I don't know why. Only AI bots would give it a 9 out of 10, or it's a waste of my time, or worst movie of the year.
And what's the other thing about AI bots with this movie?
Oh, yeah. The first time we've noticed, now it might be on other movies, we just haven't seen it, but at the very end it said, had a little thing in the credits that said, no generative AI was used in the making of this film.
Yeah. Like they were proud of that.
I mean, I have no way of proving that. I'm just going to take their word for it. That is the cynic in me. Skeptic, whichever.
Exactly.
Saying they can say that all day long and I can be impressed, but I don't know, do I?
Well, that's what this film's all about. Do you believe it? Don't you believe it?
True that.
Yeah. All right. So these are the 1-star reviews. First guy says, good grief, this was dull. Great setup and suspenseful 30 minutes with good acting by Hugh Grant. But then it goes nowhere. Nothing really happens except some rubbish at the end. It explains nought.
Okay.
Second one says, more anti-Christian rubbish from Hollywood.
Of course, somebody has to say that because they're big fucking babies.
As an agnostic, I can say I have no dog in the war of religion. However, as a Westerner, I will say that Hollywood is anti-Christian to the core.
Oh my gosh. That just means, okay, I'm just going to say this. You're not smart enough for this movie then. If that's what you're seeing, I am not apologizing. If that's what you see, because your little beliefs, little or big, however precious they are to you, is so overwhelming to your brain that you can't be exposed to another possible idea without insulting it or thinking it's an attack, then you know what? Don't go to movie. Just watch the Hallmark Channel all day. And I'm not saying that disparagingly. I've watched a few Hallmark movies. They're fine, but they're safe, right? They're not going to attack your precious little castle you've built of ideas. The end.
And the third guy is on the same lines. He says, what a disgrace. There's no subtext in this movie. The film is a blatant attack on God, religion, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's so transparent that either Scott Beck and Brian Woods were raised in the church. Did you get shorted a cookie in Sunday school, you idiots?
Right. So here's the other thing about this movie. So
it will rub some people the wrong way.
It will rub people the wrong way. And the idea that it's attacking religion, you must not have watched until the very end when the young lady is explaining her thought about prayer.
Right.
Right? Because she explains it beautifully and eloquently and in a way that made me realize for this particular character, she has her beliefs, even in everything she's seen here in this building, in this house with this man and the ideas she's been exposed to. that when he questions, and she even knows a little bit about the actual reality of praying, she accepts, I know it's not doing anything. It doesn't matter to me. I like thinking of other people and feeling good about wanting other people to have like a good life, or feel I want other people to be
It works
okay.
for me.
Right. And also, that's the heart of belief, is that it improves your life, right? That it makes you get through the day and hopefully be a better human amongst other humans. That's it. And she's acknowledging that. And she is firmly in her own self, believer in her Mormon church and everything it stands for.
If you're saying, these commenters, this movie is like attacking something, well, he is an equal opportunist. He mentions everything.
Absolutely.
And he's not for, he's not for any of them.
Yeah, he's not supporting the lack of belief, by the way. This isn't a non-religious movie. This is a movie about a person, an individual, whose interpretation of religion and probably other organized things is that it is meant to control you and hold you down and all this kind of stuff. Now, that's going to be from that character's entire life.
Yes.
That's just his view of it. If you take that and go, oh, that's what he's telling me religion is, well, then you shouldn't be watching fictional movies.
No. In fact, and what he is saying about do you just believe what you're told?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that was one of his things in his little speech at the beginning. Does somebody just tell you people something and that's it? You just know that's it? You just go with that?
And if that's the case with no questioning, then I don't know. I feel like that's really sad, because if you question it, like this young lady does, she accepts all the questions. She accepts the theories. She accepts everything counter to what she believes. And she still believes what she believes.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how much more plain you can make it.
And the fact
that your religion is precious to you, but it is not precious to everyone.
And the fact that the tagline is question everything.
Yeah.
That is what the whole movie is about.
Exactly.
Don't just blindly, somebody tells you something, and then you're like, okay, that's my whole life philosophy now, because they told me that. Right?
Yeah. Even if it's me and I'm right about most things.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm being ironic. Or whatever. What's that? Is that what I'm being?
Maybe.
I don't know for sure.
Isn't it ironic, don't you think? Yes. It's like rain on a wedding day. All right. So extras, we didn't see any, but we can give this movie a score. I'm going to give Heretic an 8 out of 10.
Beautiful. I'm going to give it a 9.
Oh, nice.
It's because of the experience, the ideas. I'm giving it a ding because I feel like, as with a lot of these fantastic stories that I like, anyway, fantastic to me, there's a failure in the, what are we going to call it? The climax. Little bit of
like the landing. They don't quite stick the landing.
The punchline, essentially. What's this guy actually doing? What's really behind all the doors? All that stuff, and then you're like, oh, yeah. Is that Was that it?
I mean, I don't know what else it could be, but
lots of things.
Yeah, I mean, you could go even further with the concept, I guess.
Which wouldn't make it better. Was my point.
No.
Yeah.
All right, so that is the movie Heretic. Thank you to A24. A24 still not steered us wrong, have they?
I don't know. I'd have to examine every single movie that we've seen.
Even the last A24 movie we watched with Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh, which is not a horror movie or anything. It was still exceptionally good.
Exceptionally good.
All right, next week, talking of movies. Are we talking of movies?
We are.
Sean Baker's new movie, Honora.
Okay.
You know Sean Baker?
Do I?
He did the Florida Project.
Then yes.
Yes. He also did Red Rocket.
Do you expect me to remember all these people by name?
Yeah. You like Red Rocket as well?
I did, yes.
He's a very interesting filmmaker. I've liked everything he's done so far. So Honora is next week's movie. Movie recommendations, I'm going to give you Hugh Grant in Love Actually. He plays the Prime Minister, and he's cute and sweet, right?
Well, Subjective, yes.
And I'm going to give you Sophie Thatcher in the TV series Yellow Jackets, which I love Yellow Jackets, and season 3 is coming very soon. You like it too, right? Yellow Jackets.
Yes.
And interesting.
Are you saying my recommendations? What are my recommendations?
Yes.
Well, for the last couple of weeks, I will be going back to the 20th century and just giving you random movies that I've seen. And if you want to be just like me, because who doesn't, you will want to go out and watch them all and then forget most of them, because that's what I've done.
Nice.
We have Paper Moon. I haven't forgotten it, but it's a faded ghost of a movie memory. Death Wish, also kind of faded. I get it. I get what it is. One thing I loved about this movie and his comment, and I don't disagree with it at all in life, is that he says, you do know that when you're recalling a memory of an event, you're not recalling the event, you're recalling a memory of the event, and then a memory of the memory.
Right.
And it's like a copy of a copy of a copy, right? At some point, your memory of the event is now changed by the retelling in your mind, or
how you want it to be.
You jumble it up, yeah, or not. I mean, how you perceive it. Your perception is your reality. This is a thing, right? And so me remembering movies over the years, the bits that I remember of things like Death Wish, it's just like, oh, it's probably really boring and unnecessarily violent. So I'm pretty sure I remember it correctly. And probably boring.
I enjoyed Death Wish, but I was a teenager who liked any action kind of movie.
Yeah, you're going to call it action, but it's just violence for the sake of violence.
And I haven't seen it since.
I challenge you then. 3 Men and a Baby, also one of those movies of its time, probably sweet and charming, but I don't know. I haven't watched it recently with my, how long has it been out? 30-year-older brain. Outbreak, which is one of those, outbreak, contagion.
It's the Dustin Hoffman's in
Yes, exactly.
I like
and
that one.
Welcome to the Dollhouse, which is one of those sort of interesting.
It's kind of fucked up. Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Kind of, yeah. So good combination there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well done.
Thanks.
Ascully stuff. I've been playing a new game this week on Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass, but on the PC. And it's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Cidtalk's seen some of this game because I've been playing. Maybe not seen it, heard it, right?
Yeah, mostly heard it.
You didn't really ever look at it.
A little bit, but not much.
So it's a new Indiana Jones game. We don't get one of them very often. I think the last one was like on the original Xbox, like back in the day. And it's a first-person adventure game. It's not typically these kind of games are third-person, like Uncharted or Tomb Raider. This one, they decided to do it first-person, so you are Indiana Jones. You do see him occasionally. It zooms out into third person when you're climbing a wall, for instance. But when you're just wandering around, you're him. So you see his first person view. And it's not a shooter game. Yes, there are some guns occasionally, but it's very rare you ever shoot anybody. It's what Indiana Jones would do. He sneaks around. Sometimes he'll knock people out with his fists, or have a fight with his fists.
How about his whip? What about his whip?
He'll whip.
Okay.
In fact, you can whip guns out of they call them fascists in the game, but they actually mention Adolf Hitler by name, so.
Okay.
I think they're just avoiding the N word.
The N word. The new N word.
Yeah. So it's the fascists, and you can whip the fascist guns out of their hands and then punch them. So I actually favor that kind of fighting, because I don't want them to start shooting at me, because I don't really have a gun. So, but most of the gameplay is like you're entering like a tomb. For instance, the part that I'm at now, I'm in the Egypt, and I've just got inside one of the pyramids, and there's a whole Indiana Jones scenario inside there, if you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Switches to pull, booby traps that are happening. You got to figure out like fire beams of light to open up doors, that kind of thing. So it's like what you would see in Tomb Raider or Uncharted, but in a first-person perspective. It doesn't have Harrison Ford. It has, I was going to say Nolan North, but it doesn't. It has Troy Baker, who is the famous video game voice actor. He voiced Joel in The Last of Us. And he does an Indiana Jones impression, basically. What do you think of him? Because you were listening.
It sounds like a very lethargic Harrison Ford. I'll be honest.
Like
There's a lot of
because he's got to try and sound like him. Sometimes I hear Joel.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because that deep gravelly, he goes gravelly a little bit. But I think he's actually pulled it off.
Oh, sure, of course. I'm convinced. It's just that it's very under enthusiastic.
And the script is really good. It's very funny. He teams up with this lady, and it's very similar to in the movies. Like anybody he teams up with, they're going to be helpful to him, but they're also going to be a pain in his ass, right? And that's how this plays out. And it's a cool new Indiana Jones story. It's called The Great Circle. And I'm actually intrigued by the story to want to carry on playing to the end, if you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So that is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. If you have Game Pass, which is Xbox and PC, their subscription service, you already have this game. You can go and play it. It's just on there for, otherwise you can go on Steam and get it. It's like $70. Seems like a lot. Cidtalk, what's for dinner?
You tell me.
It's some kind of kale bowl.
Okay.
It's kale in a bowl.
Now, you're not a lover of kale.
I do not like kale.
I love kale. I love that.
So making kale in a bowl is probably a bad move.
Yeah, but we know you're going to like it.
I know other stuff that's in there I like.
And the reason we're telling you is because we're vegetarian and people love to make fun of the fact that we're vegetarian or point it out or make comments about it. And it's really boring.
But yesterday I also made a Mexican something bowl.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was very good.
Absolutely amazing.
So yeah, we don't
suffer.
No, we make very nice foods. So Cidtalk, what's your advice? And let's get out of it.
My advice isn't really advice. It's just an observation, of course, as always. Like, if someone's been listening recently, I don't know, or ever, in the last few weeks, my mother passed away just last month, and you grieve and you do all this stuff, and I'm, everything that goes with it with my siblings. I have 3 siblings myself, and there is this weird thing in life that you start picking up from people when I'm around people more lately, basically, is why I'm picking this up, is this idea that you're not really meant to feel your own joy. I get joy out of sitting alone on the floor with my seed collection and sorting it out, and it literally gives me satisfaction and joy and pleasure and comfort and everything. You say things like that to people, oh, well, I don't have time for that. I'm too busy with this, that, and the other. It's almost as if they're not entitling themselves, right, to take a minute or two. It is take 2 minutes in life every day to do a thing literally just for yourself. And I don't mean go blow all the mortgage money or forget the kids at school because you want to go to the spa. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. The idea that you deny yourself.
That would also be fun.
Well, I don't advocate for that. Mm-hmm. But, you got to do your responsibilities, but also feeling your own joy, pleasures, even if it's you keep your own Twix bar in the glove compartment of the car, and as soon as the kids get out at school, you eat it, knowing that they don't get any. And it just, whatever it is, it could be a protein bar, it could be healthy, I don't care or a coffee or whatever it is, but that it's just for you. What that does for me, I'm a solitary type of person anyway. I'm one of those loners, but when you do things for yourself, even if it's tiny, and you feel oh, I really enjoyed that, it builds it what do I say? It charges your own mental battery, your emotional battery. It builds you up so that when other people do need you, and that's how life is. If you love people, someone's going to need something from you, emotional, mental, physical, whatever, at some point. If you're so beaten down because you've got nothing left to give, right? You're not doing anybody any good. And if by doing little things for yourself or big things, it doesn't matter. If you decide you want to paint your kitchen pink and everybody else in the family is going to hate it, but you know what? It's my damn kitchen and I'm going to paint it pink because every time I walk in, it's going to make me happy. And then I'm happy to do all the things, right? All the stuff. I just feel like somehow we're taught not to do that. That you're supposed to be, and this movie, I actually came up with this idea before we watched this movie. And then we watch it, and it's like people who have invented ideas of religion and philosophy about self-sacrifice and suffering, and life is pain, and life is meant to, you're just supposed to just suffer constantly. It's because somebody long ago couldn't cope with life because it's hard. And so they turned it into the ugly side of it. Like, you should just feel bad all the fucking time and just get over it, right? Instead of like, you know what? I had a really shitty time. My mother just died and she was ill. And so I can either be miserable and sad all the time, every minute, or turn that into an opportunity to be like, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make myself feel better with little things. And then I can approach the whole grieving thing and other people who are grieving with a whole different attitude than just like, which is how you want to feel. But I don't know. I don't know how to put it into the right words, but all the bottom line is feel some joy, make it happen for yourself. A joy that doesn't go out and harm other people. I'm not saying be the psychotic guy in this movie, and if it makes you happy to do what he did. No, I'm talking about like I said, have your own secret little stash of whatever makes you happy. Or your own secret stash of digital TV shows and movies that no one else in your whole house would even want to know that you watch. But you watch it like, Fran Drescher and The Nanny or something that people would be like, what? You watch that? Well, if it makes
what's wrong with that?
I'm just giving it as an example. The other people might be like, oh, that's dumb. Well, you just watch it, enjoy it, and then get on with your life. That's it.
Thank you, Cidtalk.
Bottom line, watch The Nanny.
All right.
Not really.
No. Ascully.com, that's the place you can go to get this podcast. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're both on there. I'm Ascully, she's Cidtalk. You can go to Ascully.com, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube, TikTok even. There's plenty of places where you can get this podcast. Email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Do not email Cidtalk, she doesn't want your email. And stay classy. A24, bringing us the hits.
I'm going to say think for yourself, because if you're not doing it, someone's definitely doing it for you.